Welcome to the journey of an awakening spirit with your host, Kathleen Flanagan. The journey of an awakening spirit is about teaching you a variety of tools that you can use to step into your true self. It is about self-discovery, realizing you are not alone on your journey. We will open the phone lines, give readings, and talk about what our listeners want to know. So please welcome the host of the journey of an awakening spirit, Kathleen Flanagan.
Hi everyone, this is Kathleen Flanagan with the Journey of an Awakening Spirit, and we are streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. And again, I'm back in Riverton, Wyoming this week, continuing with the demolition of the school building. And even though I had something else scheduled to talk about, there's a lot of things that happened as of the result of last week's show, and there's going to be a lot of changes going on in the show that I'm excited about, how we're going to be introducing the show and that type of thing. But the other thing, the main thing, what I want to talk about is being very real, very transparent about what transpired after last week's show. On last week, Zach had given me a reading that I picked up, even though it was very subtle, I picked up when the message came in from Spirit. And the one thing she asked me to do was to ask the water. Well, that wasn't the right question to ask the water, because I'm going to talk about what transpired in my crawl space from last week and where everything changed yesterday. So the main thing that I needed to do was ask for guidance. That was the biggest thing that she had suggested that I do, is ask for guidance. Ask for guidance instead of going out and looking for the answers, because I'm really good at looking for answers and I can go deep inside and I can find the answers generally. And I had talked to a friend of mine yesterday, and he reminded me of the movie Serendipity with John Cusack, who met this woman. She put her phone number in a book, and the book got mislaid or whatever, and he spent a long time, years, trying to find the book to get in touch with this woman that he just really liked. And when he finally let it go and forgot about it and was serious about just letting it go, the book was given to him with her phone number in it. And that was part of just the guiding and the surrendering. And I'm going to talk about that entire story in just a moment, but I want to go to the backstory of what's going on. So even though I've been handling my basement amazingly well, there's also the element that I didn't want to deal with, that I still wanted to put my head in the sand, because there was an element of overwhelm in it, but not like I was used to. It was very subtle overwhelm. And moving all those boxes out of the crawl space, I just didn't want to do it because it was hard to move them in, and now I'm having to move them out. And I decided to embark on that over the weekend. And on Saturday, I started doing it. And I realized that the basement crawl space was way worse than I had expected. Even though we had dried most of the crawl space out, the whole south side was still sopping wet. I got most of the boxes out, and the wet, damaged boxes went up 2 layers because they were stacked 4 high. And it was just disgusting to me, but it was what it was, and it was like, I'll deal with it. So I got over that one. No, I'm going to order new boxes, put the bottles in there before I take them out of the crawl space, because we really can't move those boxes. That's how badly damaged they are. If I move them, all the bottles will fall out, and then it'll be even more disgusting to me. So I'm going to do that differently. When I went on to the east side of the house, where I have 450 bottles per box, and I got all the top layer off because they were fine, and then I went to get the bottom layer and move them out, and the boxes were completely disintegrated. Thank God all those bottles were in plastic, so there was no harm, no damage, no mold, no anything. When I moved those boxes, it was so gross and so slimy because of the mold, and it smelled so badly, that there was a point that I went into sheer frustration. When I felt, and I mean I felt frustration beyond what I could have imagined of what I felt. And this is the emotion burp. This was the water burbling up. This is me living through what I didn't see. That I went and I said to myself in pure frustration of what was I thinking when I started Awakening Spirit. I have been carrying these bottles around for 25 years and now they're moldy, not the bottles, the boxes. It was like they were just molding and I didn't know what to do with them. I was running out of space because they take up a lot of space, and just the frustration that the company is struggling right now. I'm doing everything to make it survive. It will survive. There's no doubt in my mind on that. But I felt utter frustration and thought I was crazy for listening to Spirit at that moment. Obviously, this is very emotional for me. Anyway, so I vented whatever I felt, and then I just continued moving forward. And we got all the big boxes of mold out so they can go out in the trash. And then I've just got about 20 boxes still in the crawl space to deal with next weekend when I get back in town. And I slept because it was hard work. You're bent over because I'm in a crawl space and we're moving everything out. And of course I have no basement now because it's full of boxes. And I slept a lot and my body was in pain and I dealt with it. It was okay. And then Monday morning, I get this message to call Ken. Now, Ken is a friend of mine who I met in Chicago in 2008, and he is incredibly spiritual. He is going to be a guest on the show in October. He is very enlightened, very aware, and he's like one of those people that just keeps me on the straight and narrow, keeps me realizing I want to keep moving forward, that I really believe in the spiritual side of my nature, kind of like Zach and Seth, who's coming on the show next week. I mean, I have some really powerful, dynamic, spiritual people in my life, and it's nice to know that I'm not alone. Well, when I call Ken, we usually speak to each other once a year, maybe twice, and we either one of us will get a message, call Kathleen, call Ken. And we do, and sometimes we connect right away, sometimes we don't. Well, I'm in Wyoming when I call him because I knew I needed to call him. So I did, and I let it go. I never thought about it again. I just was like, call him, and then I forgot about it. And when I was on the last leg on State Road 20, Ken calls, and it's not, hey, how you doing? It's been a long time. It was like he just started vomiting all this information to me, and I could barely hear him because of the connection of where he was at. And all I kept getting is, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it. And he was talking to me about Robert E. Grant and what he knows about spirituality, the pyramids, numerology, science, all the science behind everything, mathematics, all of it. I mean, it was like he had put all of this studying of what he had been doing, and everything he said when I started listening to him last night was, yep, that's true, that's true, that's true. I mean, this is real. This is, they're not theories of what he talks about. This is actual proven truths. Anyways, as Ken was telling me all about this and really trying to understand what he was saying all sorts of different things. I got to the job site, I had to hang up, and I called him when I got back to the hotel that night. And I talked to him for over 3 hours, and he was just talking and talking and talking about everything. And it was like download upon download upon download upon download. And I was telling him the things that were going on. And the one thing that he did say was, you need to find out what the issue is, with the bottles. He said, it's not time for those bottles to move. That's the reason you're carrying the bottles, because it's not the right time for them. And he brought up the serendipity, and he also said, well, what is going on in your thinking and processes that things are turning moldy and so on and so forth, which I understand now, which was that this company has been a struggle for me. And I didn't know what to do, even though I'm doing things and everything is like I'm being guided left and right. That's how I feel, is everything is coming together. It's making sense. The other thing is, as he's talking, I got more hits about what I need to do with the show, how to open the show, where the show is going, how I wanted to present. I mean, everything started to shift and move. I fell asleep last night after listening to Robert Grant. And I woke up and it was like, I know what to do. And I started texting Ken and said, I need to understand what you were saying with the essential oils and the spirituality and all of this. And he ended up writing everything that I was thinking, because I know that where I'm going, I know what I'm doing. I found the niche, so to speak, as far as what Awakening Spirit really is. It's not an aromatherapy company as people want to think it is. Yes, it does body care products, and it is aromatherapy based, and it's organic and all of that, but it's way, way, way beyond that. And the logo indicates that, but I never had the words to say what I needed to say about it, and now I do. So aside from going more sustainable with Awakening Spirit, there's going to be a whole new message that's going to be added to Awakening Spirit. But the thing is that I also was told before, when the show, right after the show started, is I was told by Spirit that spiritual connection that I have, that I kind of took a little sabbatical from, is coming back with a vengeance, and I think I am now embarking upon it. Now, I also know that we had a new moon or a full moon or some sort of new full moon last night, and there's another one coming, and all these things, there's a lot of astrological changes that are going to be occurring. But the whole point is even though money can be represented water could represent money, and it is in some respects, it's mainly emotions, but I didn't know what those emotions were. And when I sat back and said, please guide me to whatever it is I need to see. And I think what I had to do was just really own everything, because I started Awakening Spirit, and this is my journey of what an Awakening Spirit is. It's not just what happened in Chicago, and it's not just about the books of Dancing Soul. This is my personal journey of how to build a business, how to bring spirituality, how to help raise the vibration of the people. And my products will actually help you remember who you are. And it will make that spiritual divine connection and how it ties in the body, mind, spirit, and the DNA and all of this. And all of this is going to start getting explored as I get more information. And that's what's really exciting to me. Because we all have issues, we all have things that go on, but it's how are we handling them? How are we dealing with things that come up in our life? So yeah, this was a major turn for me. And even though I thought that I was okay with everything in my basement, apparently I wasn't as okay as I thought. And, and that's okay, because you know what? I'm still happy. It still didn't affect me. So even though I raged for a moment of just the frustration of why am I carrying these bottles around after 25 years? I shouldn't have been carrying these this long, and yet here I am. Well, I know those bottles are moving out real fast now, because the bottles are actually going to tell me what needs to get done and how to do it. And it is. And I think the main thing about this is that I am connecting to my company, and I'm reconnecting with myself in a way that I'm in total alignment with where I'm going, because I'm developing courses on the Kathleen M Flanagan site. I've got a soap making course that I've put together. All of this stuff is actually being put up online now. I do have separate websites for them, but we're putting it all in one location. So I do have help and support. The guy is, so far, is just showing that he can do a lot of things. I'm sure I challenge him considerably, because it's like, what about this? What about this? And, because my mind is going 100 miles an hour. But the whole point is that I want you guys to realize that just because life is doing what life is doing doesn't mean you have to respond in a negative way. There's a message there for you. It's about finding that. It's about increasing your consciousness. And I think I have enough time to read this. that Ken sent me, and this is pretty much where I'm planning on going in the future, if I can find it. Okay, this is what he wrote, and this is where I'm going, and this is where the show is going to start moving into, because this is what I've always seen for the show. When we align our connection with creation, we begin the unfoldment of the divine through thought forms. It is imbued with an electrical charge. We feel that thought form drawn from creation and its electrical charge with the emotional magnetic power of a desire for that which is of the greatest good for all those involved, uniting that electromagnetic power of creation, thought, passion, emotion. We united with the corporal world through our senses 5 and beyond. Through the use of essential oils, sound, light, aromatherapy, kinetic, touch contact, we bridge the blood-brain barrier, uniting that divine consciousness with the hormonal and the endocrine systems of our human existence. When infused with the ultimate reconstructed DNA network of human existence, the 48, we bridge the blood-brain barrier of our own physical perceptions and reunite ourselves with the divine. 3D bridges, 4D, and 5D, bringing the God consciousness to the physical plane and returning it back again. Because in the end, it was all a matter of expansion and contraction. Breathing in, breathing out. God divine seeks to know itself and thusly expands out and beyond our connecting with our thoughts, electrical and desires, passions, magnetic, initiates creation, returning to know itself through us. So breathe in, breathe out, and repeat. And that is what I have always seen with Awakening Spirit. I did not know the words 25, 30 years ago. I could not speak those words. Our consciousness and the density of the planet at that time was so much heavier than where it is now. But I have always believed and I have always experienced that every time that I use essential oils, what it actually does, and that connection is so strong. Yes, there are people and cultures that have used this in spiritual growth, spiritual enlightenment, through meditations, because it works. It's real. These are truths, and there is documentation on the planet as of now proving this. And now I know where that is, and I will be reaching out to him, and I'm going to ask him in the future to be on the show once I really study what he is saying more. Because our DNA, most of the strands in our DNA have been shut down. We have been the great American experiment as far as I'm concerned. And when I look at Dancing Souls, what I wrote about and how I participated in this great experiment, that's who I am, as I participated in doing this and altering the DNA for people to remember who they are. And they were too afraid because their ego got so afraid. And if you let your fear run your life, you will never, ever have what you want. There is nothing to fear except for fear itself. This is all your ego running scared because it wants to control every nick and cranny. And when I say turn off that TV, I mean turn off the news and the TV and get back into the truth of you. It's all in there for you. And I'm guilty of this myself. I go down that rabbit hole too at times. I am no different, but I am doing that less and less, because the more I realize who I am and where I want to go, it is not in the mundaneness of this world. Yes, I have to pay my bills. Yes, I have a mortgage to pay, and I have to deal with that. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to have the money. It's about trusting your ability. And when I was talking to Ken yesterday, he has a marketing friend who thinks she might have to go back to work. And sometimes you have to do that. But that doesn't mean you have to give up what you're doing. But you have to have that peace about you. And what I have learned over the last several years is I am always provided for. Always. I don't know where the money comes sometimes. All I know is it's my job to say that this is what I need, and I need to pay my bills, or I need this for this. and it comes. I have to sit, I have to be patient, and I have to wait. And that's okay. That's all okay, because in that process, you're allowing spirit to come in and help. We are working in a cooperative with spirit. We aren't here to do this alone. We never were. That's why we have people around us. We are social beings, and I'm not talking social media. I'm talking physical touch with people, because it's in the touch, it's in that connection, it's being in somebody's energy field that does something to your mind. It does something to your psyche. It does something to your heart. Those things are so important, and I have always known that. And when I've gone into my little isolation modes, and I do that, but when I come out, it's like I'm in a different place and I'm ready to handle it. But yet I still need the balance. I still need that quiet time for me. I still need to reflect. So that I've learned how to balance. Instead of hibernating, I withdraw when I need to withdraw. And it's not like I'm disappeared in a cave somewhere. I just get very quiet and silent. I do what I need to do, and then I come out in the world. And this is how we're supposed to be, where we're supposed to ebb and flow, the breathing in, the breathing out, the expansion, the contraction. There's a reason all of this is. That's how we operate. Everything oscillates, including us. So when we are moving in that kind of direction, when we are connecting with people, because yes, COVID did what COVID did, okay? And it was a good thing, and maybe it wasn't a good thing. I don't know, but I see the good of what it is. The aftermath of people going back to what they were trying to do before COVID, that is not working for us. You know, working at home is a good thing, and not working at home is a good thing. I mean, it's like there's a balance for everything, because the one thing people working at home was a lot of other things are happening, but they're not having that social connection. So it's really important to go out and be around people. And I do that. I mean, I get on these jobs and I thrive on jobs because I'm around people, because I had my quiet time, and now it's like I can be a better person, more expanded person, more compassionate, more understanding, that type of thing. And the whole point of what happened over the weekend was for me to see this. I mean, this has been, a little slow loaner sometimes, I guess. I don't know, but whatever. The whole point is that I needed to stop. I needed to look at where I'm at and what I'm doing. And because of that, everything's changing. And I'm excited about this. I have found a couple of things I want to share with you, some more things that I found today that kind of like help to drive in where we're going, where I'm going, because this is all about the evolution of the planet, and each and every one of us are so important in this evolutionary process. And we just need to let the powers to be, the money changers, the people that are trying to control us, they can do whatever they want, but you know what? You're not going to die. They can kill your body, but you're not going to die. And my whole thing is, the world could fall apart around me, but my world isn't falling apart, because it's how I think. It is the mindset. I talked a lot about the mindset because it's important to get a handle on your mindset, because in order to evolve, that's what you have to do. Well, I'm going to take a short break so we can hear a word from our sponsors and get ready for the next segment.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBN Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Kathleen Flanagan. I'm your host on the Bold Brave TV network. And there's a couple of things that I've read this morning that I want to share with you because I think this is really critical of a lot of things, especially where we are and what we're doing, and I think how we as a species need to evolve and help ourselves. One is never regret love. No matter how blind, it improved your vision. No matter how foolish, it made you wiser. And no matter how generous, it made you more. And I think there's a lot of truth in that because everything that I'm saying, I keep getting goosebumps every time I read something to you guys. And here's another thing that I think was really profound this morning when I read it. The top 10 ways to make friends, find love, trim down, shape up, defeat boredom, discover your purpose, make a fortune, and shine your light. Get quiet. Start anywhere. Lean into it. Open your heart. Keep busy, schedule play, ask for help, don't look back, give more hugs, feel gratitude. You are visualizing, right? And I think that's just so profound because this is like everything I've been talking about to you guys over the last several weeks. This is everything I have been doing very consciously for the last 2 years. And it's powerful. And I don't think I ever realized how much control I had. And I think when you are starting to look at all the childhood traumas or whatever you picked up as a child, and you didn't know how to deal with that, and because as adults, that stuff comes to us. It's letting us see it because it needs to come to the surface so we can bring light to it and release it. And this weekend was all about that. It was all about, because I have gone over and over at times of wanting to shut down Awakening Spirit, and then I come back and say, no, I'm not going to do this. I love this company. There's a value here. But that was the value of me. I had to find the value of me. And I'm not looking back at whatever. I have no regrets about anything with Awakening Spirit. It's my frustration with myself. It's my having to come out. And I decided that my coming out, there's something more deeper about that than what I think I'm aware of. I don't know what that is fully yet. And all I could think of is the experiences that I've had in my lifetime, which are vast, and there's a lot of them, and they're not normal experiences necessarily that people have had, but people have always said, why don't you share some of these things? And I don't want to for a lot of reasons, but I'm going to share them. And I know I'm going to share them. It's just the time is not yet. I'm also going to start opening the show with sound because I got three tuning forks I'm supposed to use. And then I'm going to change that up a little bit more, and we're going to open the show with the chakra balancing so we're all in alignment and in balance when this show comes on. Because I'm going to start taking the show down a more spiritual place in how people are using these tools and evolving spiritually, but yet they're still very much a part of being here on the planet. And I've got some really great speakers lined up, and they are very, very evolved. These are like my soul family, is how I'm beginning to see them more and more all the time, is because I'm a very evolved spiritual being myself, and there's not a lot of us around that I always find. I know they're there, I just haven't found them. So the more that I tune into me and accept me, the more I see these people that come in, because some of these people, I was on their podcast shows. Ken's going to come out. I'm going to get him on my show. And I guarantee you that man will talk the whole hour, and I'm going to have to interrupt him to take commercial breaks, because he brings in so much information. That man is so divinely connected in ways like Zach and like Seth. I mean, there's just, I can't even tell you. And I'm the same way. I just chose to take a sabbatical. And I'm kind of done taking the sabbatical, because I really want to bring that part back. Because I think now I'm not going to feel that loneliness or the almost depression that I'm here and I was abandoned, because I always thought that I was a stranger in a strange land, from Robert Heinleich's book. I mean, I could identify with that book, that I don't belong here. I never belong here. I'm not from this world. I'm not from this galaxy. I'm from some other place. And it's all in Dancing Souls. And I just didn't know how to deal with that. And the thing is with me is I have 7 planets in water and 5 planets in fire. I have no air and no earth. So for you astrologers out there, you know exactly what that means. I'm a fiery, spitfire, emotional, crazy lady. And that's how I kind of see myself at times, because I'm very passionate about what I do. I feel everything. And it took me a long time to learn how to keep people and their stuff away from me, how to establish those boundaries. That's why I did this. And I realized when I was in Chicago, when I was writing Dancing Souls, that only I can do what I do. Only I can bring whatever the cog in the wheel is. Only I can do that. And that's what I'm here to do. And I know that this show is one of the greatest gifts that was given to me, to be able to bring this out into the world. So even though I'm doing things on the websites and all that, there's more to it. And what was interesting today is when I was looking at the KMF site, I saw that because my site is kind of set up for a speaker, even though I haven't gone out and done any speeches yet and talks, I have a lot of people coming in looking for me as a speaker. So I went, isn't that interesting? Well, I'm not quite fully there. I'm prepared, but I don't know if I'm ready to just get on the stage today, but I'm prepared to get on the stage. I've got my speech. I've got it all done. It's all in my head. So I'm not worried about that, but it's like, I'm not fully in total alignment. And that's how I look at it. I'm not in total alignment yet with it, even though this is where I'm going, and I've always seen this my whole life. This is where I'm going, and this show is a stepping stone into that as well, because I'm going to reach more people this way, and I'm doing a lot of work to make this show a success, regardless of how I feel about various things. It's going to happen. And how that's going to look, I don't know. I really, truly don't know. I'm doing the best I can with what I have right now. And next week, I've got Dee Donaghy coming in, and that's what we're going to talk about. Doing what you can with what you have right now. And she's in my mastermind, and we have been together almost 2 years now. And what that woman has done in this short a period of time blows my mind away. It blows my mind. I don't even know if I could do 1/10 of what that woman has done and what she has created. And I can't wait for you guys to hear the story. And she has a big, big, big dream. And we support each other and keep moving forward, because, when you have big dreams, it gets hard, especially when you feel like you're all alone or you're not getting paid for what you're doing. And yet, it's like, it's not just about the money. It's about look at everything else, or you depend on somebody to help you and they're not helping you and you don't know why. And I remember when I talked to her when she was just very frustrated, because she's working with a king over there, and he just stopped talking to her, and she just felt frustrated. And I said, well, just remember one thing. it's your dream. It's not his, it's yours. And if he doesn't want to do it, I'm sure there's other people over there that want to do this with you. And, and sometimes we have to have somebody tell us that. Like Ken yesterday, when I was trying to tell him about how I felt about the awakening spirit thing with, how I felt with the frustration, he said, but you don't want to bring those emotions up. You don't want to remember. You don't want to feed that back out into the cosmos. And even though you're just telling a story, you're still, it's not what you want. It's not the story of where you want to go. Because when he said that, it made a lot of sense, because I told him that even though I was bringing that up, I said a couple of weeks ago, it was a Saturday morning, and I had told Sal that there's no doubt in my mind that awakening spirit's ready to take off. I can feel it within the core of my being. And I said it was the same feeling I had in my other house because this house was in such bad shape, and I brought this house back to life, and the kitchen was the last thing to get done. It was the one room that I really struggled because, a kitchen remodel is just not fun. Oh God, after living through one, I don't ever want to do that again. But I remember within a month, I think after I moved into that house, I walked into the kitchen and I could literally see it with my physical eyes, that this kitchen had been remodeled. And it was like, it's going to happen. And it did. And it was at the time I sold the house. But it doesn't matter, because what Ken was saying, he said, what happened is you connected to your divine source at that moment in time. You connected to it, you brought it in, you felt it, and this was something you hated. And then you reconnected that with awakening spirit, and this is something that you loved. So it doesn't matter if you hate something or love something. If you make that connection and bring it in, it will manifest. And I believe that, because he's like, I see this happening. Everybody sees all these things happening. And, because I'm in it and it's mine, it's like, well, I hope it happens. I just hope it happens. And it's like, no, I can't do that. It's like, no, it is happening. It's happening right now. It just has to come down into the ether. It has to come from the ethers into physical form. Like I said, things are created twice, once in our mind and once on the planet, into physical manifestation. So it's in my mind, and now it's just bringing it forward and moving it forward. And it's like, okay, I'm birthing something. It takes 9 months to birth a child, okay? And not that it's going to take 9 months. Who knows how long it's going to take? This one's taken a little bit longer, okay, whatever. But it's going to birth. And I have to hold on to that. And, maybe right now I could be in labor for all I know. Because what Ken said is, when I was telling him that I was doing all this, because he said, the farmers in the summer, because he's in Chicago, so, there's a lot of farms out there, they plan their winter. And I planted my winter. I started awakening spirit. I'm in the process of, I'm in the summer, I'm pulling the weeds, I'm nurturing the growth of the idea, and then the harvest comes. And who knows, in September, October, November, who knows what's going to happen in the next 3 months with all the amount of energy I'm putting in to awakening spirit and moving this company in a different direction. And I believe that, because I know that it can happen. There's no doubt in my mind that this is going to happen. I've always believed in this company. And now that I am more aligned with myself, and I'm bringing it into the KMF site, and I'm bringing it into the Awakening Spirit site, where I am coming in, where body, mind, spirit is connecting to God, and all of the cellular stuff, the endocrine system, everything that I read to you earlier, it's all lining up. And I know, because I've lived this, that when my energy matches the energy of my dream, it will manifest. And the only way for my energy to manifest my dream is that I have to elevate. And my elevation is how I think, and how I perceive things, and how I do things. So I'm not going to be angry, pissy, grumpy, bitchy. That doesn't serve me. I'm going to stay busy. I'm going to do what I can with what I have. If I don't know where to go next, I will sit and I will wait until the answer comes, because it will come if you stop and allow the answers to come in. And everything that I have been doing has been that. I mean, I have found people to help me grow the business. It's working within the budgets that I need to be in right now. I've met people along the way that I'm probably going to be using in the future. It's just may not be today, but it's in the future where I need to go. And these are people that are aligned in the spiritual side of things. So that means if we're aligning, then we're bringing a whole new energy into this. And yes, and people say, well, you should have a cause. Well, I do have a cause. It's just not up on the website because it's like, it's there. It's just, I'm not there yet. So it's like all these things are still like out there and I'm slowly bringing them in, but you have to get your foundation done first. And the foundation is always you pulling the weeds, getting rid of the head trash, having faith, knowing and believing it's going to happen. Because when I look back at my life, and I never thought I would survive this life, and I have survived it. And I'm thriving because of it. And each and every one of us has that opportunity. But it's about you taking control of your thoughts. It's about when something comes up that doesn't feel so good and pleasant, there's a reason. And if God is learning through you, then there's nothing wrong with that. And that's probably the biggest thing. And I've read a lot of books. I have some of the most amazing books. I don't even know if they're in print anymore, of things that were so highly evolved. And what I'm reading now is at the turn of last century, when we went into the 20th century. And those are what I'm reading now. But what I was reading before that was back in the 30s and 40s when that was good information too. So it's like, I'm going back to what the truths were that we were theorizing, and now there's truth out there that this is real. And so now I'm just going to take even more of this because now I have a language that I don't feel like I'm the stranger in a strange land anymore. As I used to tell my business partner used to say, you're like in a dysfunctional relationship with the world, because it's like, yes, I love and hate people at the same time. I love people because I think we have an opportunity to do amazing things. And then I didn't like them because of how we treat each other is so bad. And it's like, you got to get out of that us and me against them and us and me and I and, all this weird contradictory stuff that we do. I mean, it's not me against you. It's not that. It's we're all the same. We're all the same. We all want the same things. It doesn't matter our skin color, our thoughts, our anything. And that's the main thing is, when I think about the evolution of our world since I've been alive, as far as just all the sex stuff that goes on, now we're into transgender, which I'm sorry, I do not understand. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. I don't understand it. But I'm trying to learn about it because I'm actually knowing some people who are wanting to do that. And so I'm like trying to be like, okay, let's try to open my mind a little bit more about that. I have a niece who's gay. Okay, who cares? But her attitude was, at least I'm accepted now because it's like cool to be gay now. And I'm like, yeah, but when you look at how Hollywood was and how we have handled all of that over the last several decades, 50, 60, 70 years, there was just so much ignorance around it. And now it's what it is, it's learning to accept each other. Love is love. It doesn't matter how you present it. I've never had any issues with the gay community. I may not have understood it, but I've talked to enough of them because I have plenty of friends and I've talked to them very extensively just to try to understand why. And not all of it's been through sexual abuse. Some of it's been through sexual abuse. Some people were like, I was just born this way. Oh, okay. No big deal. But I didn't know. So instead of sitting there and judging, I just asked questions to learn about it, and there's nothing to be shameful about on asking that. And that's what people don't always do either, because they think it's inappropriate to ask questions, but it's not. If you don't know, you don't know. And that's how I look at life is, I used to ask, because I didn't understand men when I was like a teenager, 18, 19 years old. I had no clue about men, none. So I used to ask them some of the most difficult questions, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, Kath." I'm like, "Well, I'm really trying to understand you because I don't understand you. I understood how I worked and how women work, but men, it eluded me." I mean, they were just strange creatures. And it took me a long time to understand that when they say that they're not thinking about something, that's true. They're not thinking about anything. I went down the theory of we have 10 brain cells, they have 3. Not in a derogatory way, but it's just the simplicity of a man is what women actually need. We need that simplicity. We need that grounding energy that men provide because we're crazy. We have these little periods that go on and then we're like, because we're carrying the universe inside our uterus. And so what men want is because they don't have that experience. That's why the penetration and sex is so important to them, because that's the only way they make that connection. Because we are already connected in ways that spirit that we didn't understand, but it's through that. And sex is very sacred. It's not the ugly, disgusting, shameful thing that we're doing. It's not what we should be doing with kids on child trafficking, all of that stuff. That is just the darkness of sex. That is not the purpose of sex. And that's the whole thing, is just study these things and ask questions and be a child and learn where you are and who you are in this life. Well, we're going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host, and we are streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. Well, I know this show has taken a totally different turn from what I even expected to talk about, and it's all good. I feel good about this. I think what I'm talking about today is very, very important. It's definitely hitting me in another way because we all go through stuff, and I know a lot of times people are like, oh, everything's wonderful, and I'm making all this money, and they're lying, and I'm not lying about any of this stuff. I mean, when I say that I'm really okay, I am, because I didn't lose my happiness over the weekend. I didn't. It's like I'm not going to let anything destroy that. I could feel frustrated and what I felt, and I could be, like, okay, what is it? Because we need to know. But I knew that there was a reason for it, and I always held the space for that reason. And I think if I'm showing you how I'm moving through situations, then that's what it is. I mean, when I look at the guy who came in and gave me this unbelievable price to fix the basement. And I decided I didn't want to do that. And we had to do the crisis situation, get it to a point. And he was only going to deal with the west side, and I needed the west and the south side done. And I realized that's not going to happen. So I put a call into him and said, this isn't going to work this way. I want to concrete it. And I have yet to hear from the guy if they can do it. So I pretty well decided that if I can't find somebody to concrete my crawl space, because I'll have a professional come in and do the sump pump and the pit and get the water away from the house and the whole bit. And then Sal and I will hate it. I will grump about it. I will bitch and complain. I will do everything under the sun, but I will get my basement done. And if I have to do it myself, I will do it, because it needs to get done. It needs to be fixed. And I'm not going to let it just sit here for a year or 6 months, or when somebody feels like getting around to it. It's just, I'm not that kind of person. It needs to be addressed now. And whatever that's going to look like, it's going to look like. And I'm going to figure it out. I mean, that's just how I operate in life. If I can't get somebody to do what I want the way that I want it, I'll do it myself. I don't think I should have to do it that way. I would rather have a professional do it. And I may just do that. But, I have a backup plan. And sometimes that's what we need, is we just have to have a backup plan of, well, if it doesn't go the way I want, and answers aren't coming the way I want them to come, then what can you do at this point to make it happen? And I think that is part of taking responsibility for yourself. It's taking responsibility for a situation that's arisen in your life. You deal with whatever it is and you move on. You don't put judgment on it, because that's the biggest thing we do as humans. That is probably the worst thing we can do, is we put a judgment on an event. It's an event. That's all it is. It's for your growth, your learning. It has nothing to do with God hating you, or your boyfriend's mad at you, or your kids hate you. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's you put a judgment on it, and because you put a judgment on it, then that means you don't have to take responsibility, and now you're a victim. Well, we're not victims. You can act like a victim, but you're not a victim. Everything that is in your life, you created. If you don't like it, change it. And that was a big lesson that I learned. I mean, I fought and resisted that off and on my whole life, and now it's like, over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. It's a waste of time. And when you realize, as you age, as we all do, you are going to realize at some point in your life that your life happened in a blink of an eye. I know that I walked through most of my life going, God, it seems like, how am I going to survive my life? And it was just how I handled it, how I thought about it. And now I'm at the age of where I'm at, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is a blink of an eye. It really, truly is a blink of an eye. And to have longevity is a gift, and people don't realize that. They say the good die young. Well, I don't necessarily believe that either. I just know that longevity is a gift, and even if we struggle with age and we think we should keep our 20-year-old bodies, it's never going to happen. Your looks are going to fade. And it's just find peace with yourself. I mean, really, truly find peace with you. Love you for who you are. Accept you for who you are, because you know what? You have so much value to bring to the world, and it's up to you to find it and bring it out. So next week, we're going to have Dee Donahue on the show, and she's going to definitely talk about her dream, what she's been through, and how she's gotten there by doing what she can with what she had at the moment. So that's what we're going to do. And then, of course, we always still have the coupons for Awakening Spirit with Brave TV 40% off, and the Grandma's is at 20%. And then keep an eye out on the Kathleen M. Flanagan site with all the new courses that are coming up, because they're actually going up as we speak. They are being developed on the pages right now. So we got some pretty exciting news there. And then I'm going to just start incorporating like the whole new thing that I'm doing with Awakening Spirit. And of course, I do have 2 of the 3 books of Dancing Souls are out. One is The Call, and the other one is the Dark Night of the Soul. So those are available on Amazon, and they are available on the Kathleen M. Flanagan site and Awakening Spirit as well. So I want to thank you for watching. This is Kathleen Flanagan with the Journey of an Awakening Spirit, and we are streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. And from my heart to yours, I hope you have a fabulous week. Bye for now.
This has been the Journey of an Awakening Spirit with your host, Kathleen Flanagan. Join Kathleen each week as she will inspire and empower all those who are drawn to her to live their highest vision in the context of love and joy. Right here Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.